Hey, hello. You're here with me, Katja, and Mokie Burnham, who is joining me today to discuss couples counseling. We're both here collaborating with Moving Forward Family Services, community-oriented nonprofit charity organization that offers low-cost or free counseling services to anyone who is not able to access local support. Moving Forward Family Services offers counseling through interns who are completing their practicum through this agency, the same as me and Moki. We both done our practicum with Moving Forward, or they can connect you with a network of registered professionals who might offer counseling with sliding scale, which means slightly more affordable way of getting support. So, as said before, one of these professionals is Mokie Burnham, here with us, who is offering her services from Victoria, BC. At the moment, only virtual, but right now she is on vacation. She took some time to talk to us while she's traveling around BC with her husband Mike and in their camper. Correct?
Correct, Katja. Hi. Yes, I am originally from Victoria, BC, and we are traveling through the lower province, and we're in quite a smoky Okanagan right now. And I want to just put a shout out to and thankfulness to all the amazing people fighting forest fires on our behalf to keep us safe. But yes, I'm away from home and I'm happy to meet with Katja today and also promote Moving Forward Family Services, which is just such a fabulous organization that both Katja and I have been very fortunate to be involved with. Yeah.
Completely agree. And we hope that today we will talk about couples counseling and that we get to share some interesting, valuable information with you and maybe even encourage somebody who might be in need of help to seek help and support. So, a little bit more about Moki, just quickly, so people can have an understanding of what type of professional you are. You have 30 years of experience working in school systems, supporting children and families through behavior intervention. You're also a mom, a wife, a fitness trainer, a dog mom too, twice, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
You lead several psychoeducational groups. You create workshops. Some of them, one of them offered through Moving Forward is perimenopause group, and also parenting workshops. I believe you were involved with several. One of them, I know it was named Raising Emotionally Resilient Children. Super
Mhm.
important, super relevant. Um, but also, you mentor and supervise interns who are trying to get more experience with couples counseling. And today we're here to discuss couples therapy, couples counseling. An intention is, like I said before, to just kind of normalize it, to provide a bit more information and maybe some general tips that could be useful and valuable for people who will take some time to, might take time to listen and watch our recording. So, first question for me is just how long have you been doing it?
Well, for couples and family therapy, I'm quite passionate about. I've been doing this primarily for 5 years, relatively new in that field, and just very passionate about it. Seeing as I've worked with children for 35 years, I was really ready for a change, Katja, and I was able to explore that with moving forward, and here I am. So about 5 years.
5 years? Okay, okay. Um, and when you get couples, no, even before couples come to you, let's just do something general. So when somebody gets into a relationship and maybe the couple starts considering long-term commitment, what would you say is one of the first big important questions that they should ask themselves to see if that's the right way to go for them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think um, a few things to think about or reflect on when you are considering committing to a long-term relationship is, do you have space? Do you have room to allow that other person to grow and be able to recognize, what we used to call the honeymoon stage, that that feeling of relationships being, you know, full of pleasure and comfort is not always the way it goes. It's no, it's more about, okay, can I grow? Will my partner allow me to grow as an individual? And can I allow my partner to grow as an individual?
And how I hear this or receive this on my end is that we are not fixed, as like our personalities are not fixed. We, as we are in this moment, know a lot about ourselves. Like we have some passions, we have some challenges, but basically, I am very different than I was 5 years ago,
Mhm.
and I will be different 2 years in the future. So understanding that we are entering relationship based on what we're experiencing from our partner in this moment, but that we will be changing, but they might be and will be, not might, they will be changing as well. And if we have capacity to provide space for the person that we love and we're in relationships with to change, even though they become a bit different than maybe the version of them was when we entered the relationship.
Absolutely, Katja. Absolutely. And remembering that we come from different households, different childhoods, we have different brains, and trying to come together and just think that everything is going to be wonderful um, is not realistic.
Because, like we said, when you enter a relationship, there is a honeymoon phase, right?
Mhm.
There's a period of time when it's like it's our brain, it's the bias we have, right? Our brain sees the only things that confirm this is amazing, and often kind of kindly dismisses the parts that maybe we should pay more attention to because where we are not that compatible. And later, when the honeymoon phase kind of decreases and the intensity of I guess, the hormones involved with the infatuation that we're feeling go away, suddenly we might see it in a different light.
And it's almost a form of grief or loss that we don't have that electricity. We don't have, that playfulness that we had at the beginning. But, as I'm sure you've heard, as, relationships take work and as you progress forward, you do change the relationship dynamic, but it builds, it becomes stronger.
I guess because there's more safety and
Yeah.
security in experiencing that the way how, like your imperfections, how the partner might kindly and generously work with them and you for them as well. And then you start to trust each other more and more.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
I can talk about this question for a long time, but we are on a schedule here. So let's look into the next one. Okay, a general check-in type of question. So no matter at what phase your relationship is in, could we check, or how do we know that our relationship is in good shape, that is strong enough? What's
Mhm.
your opinion on that one?
So I think you will have a sense that your relationship is moving in the right direction and strong enough when you are able to find aspects of the beginning, implement them in terms of, can you still be playful once in a while? Can you still laugh at each other and yourself in the relationship? And do you feel heard when you walk away from an argument? Are you feeling full of resentment? Are you feeling full of hurt and pain? Um, you may feel, you may feel that a little bit, but are you able to come back to it? And are you able to work through it where you both feel like, oh, I think I'm not thrilled with this, but I feel like, yeah, they heard me, I heard them, and we're brainstorming a few solutions. Yeah, we can do this. We can move forward. Um, I feel like I mean, that is a question too that you could go into a little bit deeper, but I feel generally speaking, you need to feel heard, you need to feel valued. Um, yeah, that's what I think I would say.
Yeah, what came up for me when you were talking is I need to feel like my experience matters, like that my feelings matter to my
Mhm,
partner,
mhm.
that they are listening, right? Yeah, I need to feel heard, and it's not just they're there and taking it in, but actually trying to actively use that information and do something with it, and they remember what was discussed.
Absolutely. And one tool that might be fun for people that haven't had couples therapy before to try
Yeah.
and regard is, maybe think about three questions each if you can, open-ended questions, something along the lines of, okay, what is your favorite movie? What's your favorite um, music? Who's your favorite relative? Um, what is what is a lifelong dream you've had that you haven't achieved yet? And asking each other these questions and answering them for each other. So if I was Katja, if I was to guess what yours were, I would write them down and then I would ask you and you would say, oh yeah, you're right. Or no, you're close. And then it's just a method of really gaining that deeper understanding of each other, which somehow sometimes gets lost in the busyness and the chaos of life. So if you can, as a couple on your time together, write some questions, reflect on them, and have some fun with it.
Yeah, and this can sometimes feel a bit crunchy, right? When it's not a habit. So that's normal
Yes.
to when you start something new that's not part of your relationship so far, to play and implement and try to implement something new. So those feelings of I'm uncomfortable. I don't know how this is weird. Like I don't like how this feels. That's normal. But then you start having fun
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're guessing and you're guessing wrong and it's funny. And then
Yeah.
sometimes you get it. But I think I had another thought popped up in my mind, and I think, oh, I read somewhere that, and that kind of, I was not on my radar before, but it's about being curious about your partner's hobbies and
Mhm.
how often it is that we say, he likes to do this, it's not my thing, and we don't really have too many conversations about it. Um, my partner makes music and he also does sculptures, like stuff that I don't know anything about, and it's so easy to just leave it at that. But then when you really start asking questions, you can see how they light up because
Absolutely.
it's something that's important to them, but it would not, because if I live in my own, like lane, and I like to be good at what I talk about and I like to kind of be in control. Like I don't go to the shaky grounds, I don't get there where I can really connect or I can make him feel understood and seen and valued. So I guess what I'm saying is I encourage everybody to go to the shaky grounds sometime.
Absolutely. And take a few minutes to think about some really good questions you could ask him regarding his hobby. And part of the homework I give clients, couples, is yes, you need to spend quality time together, whatever that's going to look like for you. But you also need to support each other in individual time.
Yes.
Tuesdays, it's your night to go to whatever, yoga, baseball. Thursdays, it's your night. I got this covered at home. But it takes some work because often there's resentment, right? You might be feeling some resentment. Well, wait a second. If you have kids or commitments, well, I'm stuck at home doing this, and I'm working all day. There's lots of that. So it's
Uh huh.
really important to collaborate and celebrate each other's individual time.
And another thing that came to mind, I also heard somewhere that we need to spend time apart in order to miss each other and to have stuff to say to each other, right? Like to kind of surprise each other. And
Yeah.
if we're always together, I mean, for me, it can get a bit boring, right? I need to mix it up and to like that surprising each other. I think it's big and important. But let's move on because again, I can talk for a really long
Yes.
time on
Yes.
just one topic. But as a couples counselor, what themes come up most often in your counseling virtual room?
So primarily when couples come to seek a little bit of support, they express issues in communication. And we understand communication would be sort of like the umbrella, that there's many factors underneath the umbrella that contribute to the issues in communication, whether it's attachment from your childhood, trauma from other relationships, fear, anxiety, all those things that can contribute to how you respond or how you become vulnerable, or if you can even become vulnerable at all. Um, so communication is how couples come to couples therapy. And at that point, we talk about, and we may meet individually to gather more information and insight from their histories. But ultimately, we slow down and I help them understand that it's not just this communication. It's not coming from nowhere. There's reasons for this that, come from different places that we need to explore if they're open to it.
Huh. So maybe different communication styles, maybe different, what I heard is triggers, like maybe the way how one partner approaches the other partner reminds of somebody from their past, maybe a parent where they were not very successful with communication in that way and they just kind of clam up. So investigation might be required on your end.
Yeah,
And if I
yeah.
understand correctly, you meet together with them first and you also have individual sessions to just kind of get their perspective just on one type of environment.
Yeah,
So,
it's nice for them to be able to not have the other partner there. Normally we follow a no secrets policy in couples therapy, but when the other partner isn't there, it allows that one partner to sort of to take a breath and slow down and think a little bit more about what they want to say. So when you have those two elements combined with the conjoint therapy, um, I find it's most helpful that way.
yeah. And I also just thinking about people that I know, couples that I know, you know how often it is that one just speaks so much and wants to just feel all the silences, but another might be the type of person who really needs to think before speaking. But if the train of conversation is like it's the pace is too fast, they kind of just always kind of they feel left behind and never get an opportunity to express. So I imagine that one-on-one that allows you to get a better perspective of what you're dealing with and then also bring that to their attention
Absolutely, yeah.
is
Yeah.
crucial. So I know before when we chatted a bit about the structural conversation today, you said that you have a suggestion, like a little exercise for communication that might
So
be useful.
yeah, there's so much out there. There's so many exercises in that can help improve communication for sure. An easy one that sometimes I will suggest to folks if they're comfortable is something along the lines of 9 minutes of connection. I believe it's called, and this is throughout the transitions of one's day. So get up in the morning, come home from work, prepare for bed. And all it is just allowing you like Katja, if you were my partner and you get out of bed in the morning, I would encourage you to tell me what was going on for you. How are you feeling? What's on your to-do list? What's sitting with you from yesterday, whatever, but just allow you to talk and be silent. And then I would paraphrase it back to you. Did I hear that right? Did I hear how you're feeling? Yes. And then vice versa. Then you would ask me the same. Um, this is just it's just a check-in, right? It's not problem solving, it's just a check-in. And same as after work, when you have frustrations of your work day, okay, you're coming home and you might be feeling a bit grumpy. You may not have had time to decompress. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna tell me. Um, and the same before bed. Remembering
I
that
love
it's
it.
not a problem solving thing. It's a connection thing and a mindfulness thing for yourself. Some couples need a timer because it's hard to just say, okay, how much are you talking? You know, there's other methods of doing it. Sometimes people just need to be held. Um, there's different methods, but it is that true time of connection and listening without interference for both sides.
Yeah, and just creating a habit of sharing
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we get so busy in our lives, just rushing, and then we explode or we clam up and we leave the other partner to interpret,
yeah, yeah.
assume what's happening, and often it can be, oh, he's a jerk, or I don't know, like just something that, but because we're not actually opening up and sharing what's happening.
And some people might, like you say, might not be comfortable with that, introvert, extrovert. and that's fine, but what are they comfortable with? They obviously love their partner. They're here in couples therapy. Yes, there's a problem, but to me, the therapist, it shows that they there's room for change. They're both working at it. So how can you meet them in the middle? Maybe you're not someone that needs to express every little thing about your life.
So starting very small can work just fine,
Very
like coming
small.
home and
Yeah.
saying, I'm a bit irritated, or I am a bit anxious today, or I'm tired,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. I'm hungry. I'm really, really
Whatever it
hungry.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but just the habit, and maybe even having a time, not a timer, or a reminder on your phone to kind of get the habit going, because I know this is hard to to remember, but to
I
have
think,
that
yeah,
opportunity.
the one thing we do in session all the time is the couple will decide, okay, yes, we're gonna create a check-in, a weekly check-in, or debrief. They name it whatever they want, but it's a time to come together and talk about how your week went. How did the week go? In terms of some of those areas we might have felt stuck on, implementing a couple new things. How do you feel like things are going? How do you think we can improve next week on these things? And did you feel loved this week? How can I make you feel loved, more loved next week? So just, really turning towards each other.
I really love that because I think often people, I mean, love languages, I guess, right? But I know we're not,
Yeah.
we don't have to go in that whole thing. But the way how people express love, it's not always received. So that, like, did you feel loved this week? And then listening, and maybe even brainstorming of what would land more for the
Yeah.
other person.
And
Um,
what is it? Like you say, love languages, what makes you feel loved could be completely different than your partner, but it's important to know. And for those folks that want to learn more about it, go to Dr. Gary Chapman. He's written a book on the five love languages. Take the test, whatever you want to do, but give each other some examples. Don't just assume your partner's going to know what your love language is.
yeah, sometimes you have to tell them, what do you need?
Provide them with examples. This is
Yeah.
what I love. This is what I love. Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I need to hear it, but some other people need to, for the partner to cover them with a blanket when they're taking a nap, or to cook a meal for them. So it's very different.
It is.
Um, what other themes often come up? Oh, I know we were chatting about he always does this, or she never, like those type of statements. Are those helpful?
Hmm. Yeah, those are, I work with families with that as well, and those are very difficult to have in your communication because they using that form of language will only create defensiveness, right? So it's
Yep.
it's breaking down those barriers in session with the couple, and sort of reframing how they want to communicate to each other, what they need to say. Because if I say to you, Katja, you always leave the bathroom towel on the floor every time. I never do that. And then automatically you may start to say, well, you always leave the light on.
Yeah.
Um, you
Oh,
know,
I have so
it's
much
like,
ammunition. Suddenly I'm
it's of
collecting
course
ammunition.
that you've got, those thoughts.
Yeah, we're fighting. We're on now, right? Like this is battle. So I'm gonna talk
Yeah.
about the dirty dishes, and I'm
And
gonna talk about the laundry, and I'm bringing everything up.
bringing it in from last week, last month, last year, it's all coming up. And recognizing that, what, it is not helpful. And you can let your couples will realize that. And they do in session when we role play and practice. You recognize, oh yeah, right, I get it. And again, we talked in our last session about children. Okay, how would you like your child to communicate? How would you like to coach your child in healthy communication, right? Well, you never do that, Dad. You always do that, Mom. How's that, going to be helpful? So it's a great tool to focus on and develop some antidotes too.
Yeah, I love that perspective. Like to mention that the way how we act with each other as parents, how like the kids model what they see in their parents. So if that is what we model to them, yeah, that's not leading anywhere.
No.
in the
Yeah.
land of good communication or feeling seen and understood and heard. So
Yeah. Not
that's
helpful.
not helpful at
I,
all.
I I encourage folks to say, anytime you are thinking of starting your sentence with you, replace it with I.
Mhm.
So you, Katja, always leave the towel on the bathroom floor. Oh, wait a second. I feel a little frustrated when I'm picking up the towel off the bathroom floor. How can we work together on fixing that?
See, this almost feels like invitation because now I want to lean forward and I want to help you not feel frustrated and I feel a little bit responsible because of that towel, but it does not put me on the fence like before.
Yes. Yeah.
So it can just be like that, like simple little tweak. And
Simple little.
I encourage anybody who's listening to this to try it and see. It can do almost magic, right? Like just that change in the way
Very
how we
small.
communicate.
Yeah. And you might, and a lot of couples think, oh, this is funny, this is stupid, I'm not doing this, or dumb. But when they try it a few times, um, it does become a little bit of a habit. And they do, as soon as you notice success, similar to going to the gym, you start feeling better, stronger, whatever. When you practice these new styles of communication, you notice, oh, wait a sec, they're not yelling at me all of a sudden or leaving the room or shutting down. You know what? I'm willing to continue with this.
And that kind of brings up, like the science of brain and how everything, like the ways how we do operate now, like at the point when we enter couples counseling, maybe these are all habits that we collected by the coincidence, by the circumstances, like who was around us, who modeled what did our parents do, what did we see in TV shows, what did we read about, and that doesn't mean it has to stay like that. They're all habits, and with repetition and being a bit playful and just trying something new out, those can become our new reality and our new habits.
Absolutely. I talk about it like an athlete when they're training and doing skills work or drills on a field. Once you've been away from them for a couple of days, you come back, but muscle memory kicks in and away you go. You're back on track. Well, neurological muscle memory kicks in as well when we practice these things. Similar as mindfulness, Katja, when you practice those grounding techniques more and more, they're easier to access when you need them.
And when you start, it's like never being in the gym, but starting for the first time, and it freaking hurts and it's uncomfortable and it doesn't make sense. For a while, it's awkward, and then you start missing it if you don't go, and you realize how good you feel afterwards. And so the good effects happen a bit later. Maybe
Mhm.
not immediately always, but the pain is worth it. I mean, the pain.
Yeah.
Am I advertising this? It's not painful, I promise.
Yeah, it's not
Just a
painful,
bit
but
awkward.
yeah, it feels different. It feels different
It's just
for a
different,
while.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, okay, we're almost at the end, but let's maybe just touch on um, what might be the reasons that hold people back from going to couples counseling, to seeking help when they need it.
I think one of the normally it's one partner that decides, we need to go to couples therapy. Are you willing to come to couples counseling? So somebody initiates it, the other person follows, but they're still interested in engaging. Um, I still think there's a fear of the counselor being biased. So a fear of judgment. I feel like, if you and I went in to couples therapy together right now, Katja, and we both tell our stories, and one of us automatically feels like, oh yeah, the counselor is totally likes Katja, like she's just, thrilled with every word she says. Well, like I'm out of here. Um, I think there's a fear of judgment. Yeah.
Yeah, or
Shame, guilt.
I'm an immigrant. I might see if a counselor is, like a Canadian born, maybe they would relate with you more and might not understand me. So those are all concerns that are understandable,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
counselors are trained in in this approach, and I would say give it a try for people just to
Give
see.
it a try. Absolutely. And maybe try a couple if you can. And, I mean, I'm not saying that's likely when you're seeking low barrier counseling. I'm not sure how that works, but when if you're with a registered counselor, even on a sliding scale, there is the opportunity to do a meet and greet, a consult, um, and ask a lot of questions if you haven't been before. Talk about, how do you approach couples? What's your model of therapy? Where can we learn a little bit more about it before we come back to see you? Um, just like when we go to the doctor, if we have a health issue, it's helpful to have a list of questions. And just as same as the perimenopause group too, Katja, we talked about is have some questions for the doctor. Have some questions for your couples therapist.
Yeah, know what's important to you, what your concerns are, and don't be afraid to ask because you should be asking. That's my opinion because this is for your support, so you should feel comfortable, and the more you know, the better. Um, Also, what I have listed here, that people often think that it needs to get really, really bad to go to couples counseling, and it's the same approach, like I said before, like with a doctor, right? Like, does it need to go get really, really bad to get medical assistance? It could just be a couple of stuck points that couples cannot get over. It could be time to seek support, to prevent complications further down the line, I guess.
Absolutely. So many different reasons, Katja. I mean, one issue it could be, how you need a little bit of extra help deciding one person wants a baby, one doesn't, one wants to get married, one doesn't. One, you've lost a loved one. There's so many different factors that influence why couples come to therapy. And yes, we become vulnerable. Any of us do when we come into counseling. The counselors are not perfect either. We
Nope,
are
we're not.
we make many mistakes. Um, but again, it's about, are you feeling heard from that counselor? Do you feel safe in that space with that counselor? Is the counselor giving you equal time with your partner? It's all those things that are important to consider. But we even I'll go and do some work with young groups in preparation for relationships,
Uh-huh.
like grade 12, grade 11. Okay, what is empathy? How do you have an empathetic response? There's many factors, many pieces that you can start to work with to establish healthier relationships.
And I think one of the most common reasons for like a barrier that people don't consider couples counseling is financial and
Mm,
practical. So for that reason, if somebody is struggling financially, I would encourage them to reach out to Moving Forward Family Services, who has interns who are practicing to become couples counseling, ready to take couples on, or registered counselors
yeah.
who offer sliding scale for payment. Um, and after you reach out to Moving Forward on the website, they have a form, and you just fill it out and send your information and your request. They will be able to contact a counselor for you. So
Mm.
then they connect you, so maybe you don't get overwhelmed by browsing and scrolling and looking for the perfect fit, but see what happens there with that referral.
For sure. And give as much information as you can, and the director will always try to make the best fit for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Um,
Um,
Katja,
mhm.
I know we have to go.
Yeah, yeah.
I just want to leave from my end, uh, leave with one positive note in terms of, if you're at home, if you're wondering, um, maybe you would like to go to couples therapy, but your partner's not ready. So what are some things you can do? How can you reframe uh, where you're coming from to see if it makes a difference? Well, remember that focusing on the negatives all the time, things are not going to change. You're going to respond the same way, you're going to react the same way, but try to choose some of the positives that have occurred. Try to see some of those pieces um, in your partner, however small they are, throughout the day, and acknowledge them. Don't assume they're going to do it for you. Don't wait for them to do it for you, but you step forward and initiate that. And, that's just something small maybe you could do at home when you're feeling like, there's some things going wrong in your relationship. Yes, there's always negatives we can pick on, but let's maybe try a little bit. How can I find some of those positives? How can I compliment my partner and build them up?
Yeah, like what else are we than this conflict that we're
Yeah,
having? Like what
yeah,
else is here? And from my experience, when you are generous and you compliment, or, but I'm not even saying compliment, but just like you're generous with your attention and the way how you communicate, the other person, they open up because they expect more attack or more problems, and that just changes the dynamic and it makes everything lighter, and it opens you up to have more playfulness, more imagination, like more different ways to communicate, to engage, so it can work in a very interesting way. And we are at the time, but just one more question. um, if somebody is deciding to get into couples counseling, one of the first questions that you will ask them is, what are your hopes for
yes.
this process? Like, what are you hoping to get away um, from us working together? So I think that's a big one for everybody to start thinking about now.
Start thinking about that rather than bringing the problem to the therapist. Think about what is your greatest hope to come out of some sessions together with a therapist you trust. What is your greatest hope?
Yeah, what, 6 months down the road, if this is working, how will I know that it's working? What would be different, right? Like, how will I feel? How connected do I feel to my partner, or whatever makes sense in this way? But that type of questioning can be super, super useful.
Mhm.
Moki, thank you again. Thank you for sticking 5 extra minutes. But
Thanks, Katja.
really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I hope folks at home that are curious about couples therapy have some value, take some value away from listening today.
I think they got some really good information. Thank you again, and see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Katja. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.